kind of just get started. Everybody right now is going to be allowed to talk. But what I'd like is just kind of, because I'm bigger on the dialogue thing than I am actually on the, me telling you what to do thing. And I know that, right now it's been kind of a challenging time to kind of get work in. There's only so much you can do or you feel like you can do in your backyard or in your garage with a net and a tee. So, have you guys found it at all to be challenging to get work? I mean, obviously you can't get out there and get with your teams and stuff like that, but have you guys found it to be challenging to get out there and do anything? Do you guys have access to a cage, or do you guys have access to, what do you have access to, I guess?
I just have a net in my backyard
Who's
that I use for hitting and stuff.
Is that Brody? Who was that?
Brody, yeah.
All right, so just if you haven't done so yet, I'll put it in the regular chat room. But there's if you go to this, guys, and scroll to the bottom, there will be a form for you guys to fill out. It's really just a self-evaluation form, where, for me, I was a very mental hitter in the sense where my approach was probably more important than my swing or my fundamentals in that, if that makes sense. I'm a firm believer in that you can have, an average swing or average fundamentals, but if you have the right mindset, that you can overcome that and still be successful. Some of you guys know me, some of you guys probably don't, and just received an email and just felt like you had nothing to do and wanted to get in on this. I think, there's probably not a whole lot of resources out there for you to access that's easy to get to. So I encourage you guys to take advantage of this when we do this. From time to time, we'll have somebody come in, a panelist that will come in, whether it's a college coach or a professional guy, just kind of putting in their 2 cents. Today it's just me, so you're lucky. Congratulations. But today it's really just going to be about, how do we find, purpose with our work when we're limited on our resources. So if you only have a tee and a net, for me, my kid's 8 years old, and we've been in the backyard several times, and we're able to hit the ball in the net for 2 hours and find things to do and be creative with our drills. We still have a few guys coming in here. I think Michael, can you hear me okay? Hello?
Mike? Yes, I got you.
Okay, cool. So welcome in. So really, if you have limited resources, there's, or you feel you have limited resources, and all you have is a tee or a net, or even, if you don't even have anybody to feed you or to give you soft toss, there's a lot you can do. For the guys and you guys should all have the blast sensor if you're in on this. I'm not in, going to be the police today. But if you haven't, I urge you guys to get that, because it is something that gives you intent to fine tune your approach and your swing at the plate. So is anybody not familiar with the blast motion stuff? I see some of you guys have muted yourselves, but if you're familiar with it, you know that it does provide you with certain drills and certain workouts that you can do on your own. And with that, you can accomplish a lot and feel like you actually got better. So what I want to do is basically just introduce myself to some of you guys that don't know me. Some of you guys, again, you guys do know me. My name's Joe Spears. I'm kind of, leading this up with our online web-based training for Swing Center, which is going to utilize blast motion. It's going to utilize some other tools to help track, your development as a hitter, and more, we're going to work on fine-tuning your swing and your approach. We're going to work on, helping you become more confident at the plate and get comfortable in the box. Again, just wanted to make sure everybody filled out that form. If you guys have the results from your form, okay, we kind of want to maybe go over that just a little bit. And so on that form, on that self-evaluation form, and let me know if you want to put it either in the chat room, or if you want to speak up, you can just let me know that you don't have the form and I'll send it over to you through the chat room, but it's sitting there right there for you to click on, or for you to copy and paste and put it in your browser. So when you go to that self-evaluation form that you could find on our website, it'll give you, the questions are real easy. You know, you have the competition level, which obviously most of you guys seem to be high school guys. There may not be any professional guys on here right now. You'll have, let me see here, a lot of talk. You'll have the next question, obviously the school, or if you're a part of a professional team. Okay, so the hot zone. For you guys, all right, the hot zone. This is just kind of my term. If you guys are familiar with the hot zone, really what it is just a matter of understanding what pitches you like to hit and what pitches you're successful at hitting. So you have the grid, 1 through 9, you have inside pitches down the middle, pitches, let's see, Sammy doesn't have the form, pitches away, right? So, for me, as a hitter, I was very, very good at hitting pitches middle in all the way through, to the away pitch. And generally it had to be up in the zone. So, if I'm looking for pitches up in the zone, I'm going to lay off anything at the bottom of the zone, which is naturally what you should do to be successful as a hitter, but sometimes it's not that easy. Okay. See here, I need the form. Dylan, go ahead and go click or copy and paste that link I put right above your comment right there, and then it'll take you to go to the bottom of that page, and it'll take you to the form to fill it out online. Okay, so the hot zone, right? It's where in the strike zone do you feel you have the most success making hard contact. You should have chose all areas that applied. In the form, you have the option to choose your hot zone areas, whether you're right or left-handed hitter. And if you're a switch hitter, you're going to do both of them, right? Most of you guys have done that. Next question is going to be the game day process. The game day process is, how you feel about the quality of your preparation on game day. So, guys, if you guys have a fundamentally sound swing, or you have confidence at the plate, how do you let that translate into your preparation? Okay. And I'd like to get feedback from you guys on this. So if anybody wants to, let me see if I know how to get you guys to raise your hands. Hold on one second. Just minutes. Does anybody want to talk talk on how they prepare prior to the game or during the game? If not, that's okay. I'll just assume you guys have zero preparation, which is probably a good indicator that you're not ready to hit. Okay, so here's what we got, and if anybody wants to chime in, feel free. And you can type it in if you want to. You guys don't even have to speak it out. Does anybody have any ideas that they want to type out in the chat room? Okay, so got a question for you. You don't have to answer me. You can answer it yourself. If you're getting to the game, right, and prior to the game, when is the first time, getting ready for your at-bat, that you can prepare for that at-bat?
When the pitcher's in the bullpen.
Pitcher's in the bullpen, right? And so is that Kelson?
Yeah, that was me.
All right, good. So when the pitcher's in the bullpen, right? And what are you doing to prepare for that bat when the pitcher's in the bullpen?
Just kind of see where he's throwing. Like if he's in the dirt for most of his bullpen, obviously that's going to correlate into the game. And if he's wild or missing his spots, then maybe see that. Or if he's a big off-speed guy, kind of look off-speed.
Right. So you can see, like, the pitcher's telling the catcher everything, right? Every pitch he has, right? He's telling, and at the same time, he's letting you know what he's got, right? But you have to pay attention. The key is paying attention. If you don't pay attention, you don't take that moment to kind of watch, then it's going to be, you're limiting your preparation opportunity, right? So then you could really tell, right, if he's confident in his fastball when he comes out of the gate. If he can't find the zone in the bullpen, chances are that's probably not going to translate to the mound when he gets in the game, right? Okay, if he's throwing a ton of breaking balls in the bullpen, that means one of two things. That either means he's not confident in throwing it, so he's trying to work on it, or he's going to throw it a lot in the game. But you can kind of watch, right, once game time comes around, which is the case, right? You can see if he starts to throw a lot of breaking balls, the fastball, or you can see if he airmails every single changeup. He's probably not going to throw that in the game either, right? So, Jazz, de Perio. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So, when's the next time? When's the next chance you have to prepare for your at bat? Anybody?
When he first pitch to the game, like as soon as he's on the mound.
Okay, so the first time he takes the mound to get loose, right? Prior to the first inning, right?
Yeah.
So let's see, was that Dylan that put trying to get timing down while on deck, right? Well, Dylan, so I got something for you here, right? So really, when you're on deck, right? That's the last time. That's your last chance to get ready for your at bat. Okay, that's the last chance. So you guys have kind of all seen that stat out there, right? Where in the big leagues, often the best pitch to hit is the first pitch of the at bat. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
I wish I actually printed this out so I could show you like that, but I didn't. Okay, so oftentimes the first pitch to hit is the best pitch to hit. Okay, that's at the big league level. I also think it's at the college level. I think at the high school level that percentage goes way down. I don't think it's the best pitch to hit all the time. And does anybody have an idea why?
Because pitchers aren't coming right after you.
Yeah, they don't throw a whole lot of strikes. Dude, Kelson, you're like my co-host. So they don't throw a whole lot of strikes, right? Compared to what you're getting at the big league level or the professional or even college level, right? So if you're watching a guy in the bullpen before the game, if you're watching the guy warm up on the mound prior to the game and prior to your at-bat before you get on deck, you can kind of get a good idea on whether or not that guy you're facing is a strike thrower or not, okay? A lot of times, okay, guys are going to have a hard time coming after you. So if you're in free swing mode and the guy's not throwing a whole lot of strikes, you're putting yourself in a position to not be successful. Because now you're going to go swing at pitches that are out of the zone or out of your hot zone, right? And if they're out of your hot zone, you're not successful. Just like in 2K, right? In PlayStation, on PS4 or whatever, 2K20. I don't know what year it is, but in 2K20, right? You can see you can see what pitches are the pitches you want to hit, right? Or let's see who's a good hitter in the big leagues. Albert Pujols, right? If I'm Albert Pujols, right, you'll see the grid. You'll see what pitches are red and what pitches are blue, okay, in the zone, right? The blue zone, you want to stay off of that until maybe 2 strikes, okay? The red zone, you want to swing at that because that's where you're successful, okay? So you got to really kind of implement that into your game plan, right? So how do you prepare using that and make sure that you're only swinging at pitches that are in your red zone, right? Okay. So you want to be prepared for that first pitch, but if you're paying attention to the pitcher before the game and to the hitters in front of you, okay, you know whether he's a strike thrower or not, or you have an idea whether he's a strike thrower or not if you're the leadoff guy, right? There are some guys that in their warm-up pitches they can't find the zone. They're throwing balls up 3/4 up the backstop, right? And then all of a sudden there's somebody gets in the box and they're just pounding the corners with 3 pitches, right? That you have those guys too, right? But most of the time, if a guy's struggling to find the zone prior to the first pitch, right, he's probably not finding the zone. But then you also have those guys, right? If you got to continue to pay attention, right? Let's say you're in the bottom half of the order, okay? If he struggles through the first inning, okay, and he can't find the zone in the first inning, well, then all of a sudden the second inning comes around and he starts to settle down. And you've kind of seen that if you've had enough at bats and you're watching the game enough, where you can see pitchers that do that, especially if you're watching pro ball, because that happens a lot more than you think, right? So if you're watching the game, if you're really watching a professional game, you can see if guys are a little erratic, in the first inning, but then they settle in the second inning because sometimes it takes time for the nerves to calm down. It takes time for them to find a release point. There's all sorts of variables there that make it harder for a pitcher to settle down, first pitch of the game. So, before the game, before you're at bat, on deck is the last chance, right? Question, okay? And I'd like for somebody else to chime in, right? Besides Kelson, I know, it's hard to overcome the nerves of wanting to speak in a public forum. But if you have any insight, if you don't feel on time, okay? Because we all know that hitting is timing, right? If you don't feel on time at the plate for the first pitch of the at bat, right? What should you do? Kelson, don't say anything. Anybody else?
If I feel like I'm not on time, usually I just step out of the box, like readjust my batting gloves and like take a deep breath and then get back in and just like, settle down.
Dominic, I think, well, first, just kind of off topic, I think you've taken a ton of swings this week, right? From what I've seen. Okay. So how do you like using that sensor so far?
Well, I've been using the Blast for a while.
Okay, so you've been doing it already, but you found purpose with it and it gives you something to do? Yeah. Okay. I think you're in the lead to win whatever we're handing out this week. I think it's a bat we're giving out this week, so just keep working there. So go ahead and repeat what you just said again. You step out of the box and just kind of regroup a little bit.
I adjust my batting gloves, and I have a certain like spot on my bat that I look at, and I just look at that and take a deep breath, and I get back in.
Okay. So, when you do that, right, do you feel a little bit more relaxed, right?
Yeah.
Say you get back in the box and you're still like, you're not comfortable in the box. Okay. You have, you've done everything you can to prepare for that first pitch, right? You're still not comfortable. You don't feel on time. You don't feel that rhythm that you like. What do you do now?
I don't know. Usually after I do that routine, it calms me down.
Okay, so good. So if you have a routine that works for you, stick with it and don't lay off of it. Obviously, you can always fine tune your approach and your preparation, right? And that's what we're talking about here. But what about for the guys that that don't feel good about their the first pitch that they're seeing or don't have timing, right? So for you, what I would say is, and we just said it, that, guys at your level, they have a hard time pounding the zone. Okay. So if they have a hard time pounding the zone, right, you should be very comfortable with taking a strike or taking a pitch. Okay. And if you can do that, and we'll talk about this a little bit more on another session, but if you could fine tune your 2-strike approach, okay, and that means you got to put yourself into a 2-strike scenario every now and then, right? You got to put yourself in a 2-strike count. If you could fine tune your 2-strike approach, you feel a lot more confident hitting in any other counts. Does that make sense? So if you can, feel good about letting the ball travel, and if it's close, either putting the ball in play or fouling it off so you can get another pitch, the next pitch, right? So you get a better pitch to hit. If you feel good about your 2-strike approach, that automatically makes you more confident 0-0. It makes you more confident 0-1. So when you take a strike and you're in the 0-1 count, right, you are confident. You're still confident. You still feel like you're in a hitter's count, okay? And to just simplify the approach a little bit, you should feel like you're in a hitter's count, right, in any count, in any pitch count until you get to 2 strikes, okay? So if you're 0-1, you're still feeling like you're hitting 3-1, okay? If you're 2-1, obviously you're still in a hitter's count. If you're 0-0, if you're 1-0, right, you're still feeling that confidence as if you're hitting in a 3-1 count. And that's where in any hitter's count, so we've simplified it, that anything less than 2 strikes is a hitter's count. If we've simplified it to that, you should not hit anything in your blue zone, right? And so your self-evaluation is exactly that. It's a self-evaluation. That form that you filled out, that's more for you than it is for me. if you guys want to talk about it on a one-on-one setting, let me know and we could do it, and we'll go over your form and we'll kind of fine tune things there. But based on what your results were in that self-evaluation form, right? You're being honest with yourself so you can make the adjustments that you need to make. So if you feel like you could hit the fastball up and away, right? And that's what you're good at hitting, okay? And you have trouble getting around on a fastball in. It's a simple approach then, right? Hit the fastball away. If you're the other way around and you're a guy that likes to turn on the ball inside, but you have a hard time hitting the fastball away, well, yeah, hit the fastball in, but since the majority of pitches that you're going to see the rest of your career are going to be away, I would suggest that there's an adjustment made to that approach, and there's an adjustment maybe made to the swing to help you be more successful with the fastball away, because that is where 90% of the pitches are going to be. All right, pitchers don't like to come in, right? And if you're a hitter that has the discipline to stay in the box and not move out of the way when the pitcher misses inside, right, and you allow the pitch to hit you, then you know what you've done is you've taken the inside corner away from him, and now all he has to work with is the outside half. Okay, if that makes sense. Because if he hits the corner, right, that's a good pitch. But if he misses in, he hits you, and if he misses over the plate, that ball should be hitting the gap somewhere, right? And pitchers know that. Okay, as long as you're keeping still in the box. Okay, you know, moving on to the next. That's game day process, right? So workload quality, right? What is the quality of your batting practice sessions that take place on non-game days? Do you have intent and purpose in your work? Do you take extra swings consistently? And do you have daily work ethic? All right. I don't know if most of you guys or any of you guys know who Coach Tony Robicheaux was, but he was the head coach at University of Louisiana Lafayette. I don't know how long. 20, 30 years, maybe a long time. He just passed away maybe a couple years ago. But he had a not a super famous speech, but it was famous enough to where it was heard around the competitive baseball community. And it was titled "Work While You Wait," right? And you guys may have seen that in the post we put out, and you may have seen that in the emails we put out. And what he was trying to get to there was if you're a bench player, right, and you know, for a Division I university, that's Louisiana Lafayette. I think they went to the College World Series in 2000. I had a chance to go watch them play in Omaha when I was a kid. But the work while you wait approach, I use that word a lot because I'm big on approach and preparation. But the work while you wait approach, if you're a bench player, right, whether it's for your high school, for your travel team, for your college program, if you're an organizational player in professional baseball, which means that you're not a guy that goes out there every day. You're just kind of a fill-in guy. You're a utility guy. You know, you'll mix in to give a guy a day off. If you're that type of player and that's the role you have, right? And everybody goes through this at some point, right? You're going to sit the bench, right? And there's two ways you can go about this. You can either, you know, complain. And not necessarily verbally, right? You can make complaints internally, you know, and that's just a reflection of your attitude, which is, you know, that's the natural way to respond, right? You complain internally, you make excuses internally because, you know, you feel you've put the work forth to earn a spot. Okay. That may be true. All right. But the attitude if that's the attitude you have, right, then the attitude isn't quite there and you haven't earned it because that attitude is what you've taken on. Right. So the attitude has to improve there, right? There needs to be an adjustment. So work while you wait, right? Work while you wait means if you're a bench player and you're sitting the first 30 games of a college season, or you're sitting the first half of a high school season, okay, then, you know, what are you doing to get yourself back in? You know, are you, you know, very simple stuff. I know for the CBA guys, and this is probably the same, you know, the same responsibility that, you know, most other travel teams have. And I coach high school now. This is the responsibility we put on our high school guys. You got to get foul balls, right? You got to take care of the baseballs. You got to take care of the outfielder. You got to play catch with them. We need a second catcher to make sure we're warming up the pitcher if our catcher's on base when the last out's recorded. What are you doing to fulfill a team role when you're not on the field and you're not in the starting nine, right? So that stuff goes, you know, doesn't go unnoticed, right? That stuff is, uh, it's so important to fulfill those roles, right? Because there's no way that a coach that cares about the team's, you know, well-being or the team's welfare, there's no way a good coach is going to reward the behavior of a player not taking a leadership role as a bench player, right? And there's no way that that guy's going to climb the ladder, so to speak, and earn a spot. Now, here's the thing, right? How does that translate to where we're at now? Um, we're all, you know, we're all on timeout right now, right? I call it timeout. You got to stand in the corner for another 30 days in California. Kelson, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
What's the, you guys are locked in over there, right? In Florida?
No, I mean, technically we are, but I mean, like, we're Floridians, so like people don't really listen. So like everybody's at work, and nobody stopped anything. I'll be completely honest with you.
So life's going as it should. So here in California, it's definitely been different. I'm probably not even allowed in our building right now. You know, if somebody stops in, there's a chance we get kicked out of our facility today. That's fine. We'll take the chance. But right, if you can't go out with the team right now, right? You can't go play games.
Yeah.
You can't have team practices, right? So we're all kind of in this together. We're in the sense that most players your guys' age aren't doing anything to help themselves get better or improve. Okay. So by you taking the initiative to do this and, you know, joining in this webinar or joining the swing center or whatever, you know, by you taking the initiative, you're already in the top 10 percentile of kids that care, right? That want to be better. Okay. If you're in that percentile, right? Okay. That's still not necessarily good enough. Okay. So going back to work while you wait, right? So how does that translate to being in this timeout period? By you being on this webinar and taking the initiative to be here, that is working while you wait, because you want to be a better player, right? You want to find something to do that gives you purpose and gives you intent so that you can, you know, have purpose-driven work. Does that make sense? There's a Christian pastor. He wrote the book called his name's Rick Warren, right? He wrote The Purpose-Driven Life, right? Well, this is purpose-driven work. So you're not going into the net and you're not just taking 100 swings just to take, you know, just to say you took 100 swings. If you're taking 100 swings, you're attacking the inside part of the ball. You're getting the right flight and trajectory off the bat. You're using your lower half the way you want to. You have a strong top hand at contact. Whatever the drill is you're working on, that's purpose, right? But you have to take that purpose serious. That's got to be why you get your work in. And you know what? That turns tee work it transforms monotonous free swinging tee work into, hey man, like I want to go out there and get my swings in. I want to go out there and get better, right? So like, you know, most of you guys, again, you don't have access to cages, you don't have access to live pitching or anything like that. So you got to find that purpose, okay? And whatever that may be, whether it's hitting, fielding, pitching, you know, all that stuff, right? It all ties together. Okay. So that's workload quality. Next next question is, what type of hitter are you? And you could find this in the guide if you did download that guide. Pretty self-explanatory, right? I'm just reading off this page. But the response to this question is significant in that it will allow you to adjust your mental approach based on how you profile as a hitter, right? So we touched on it a little bit. And Sammy Sabidra, did I say that right? Hopefully. Sabidra says, no wonder I only get outside pitches. And I think that's referring to, you know, the high percentage of pitches that pitchers throw in any count, just because they're more comfortable living away. A lot of times umpires are going to call the fastball off the plate. If it's off the plate this much, a lot of times if it's presented well by the catcher, it's going to be a strike. Okay. So, you know, exactly. No wonder I get outside pitches. So that's why maybe your approach has to change a bit, right? Now, if you are a typical power hitter, okay, and Kelson, I'll say you have power hitting qualities, but I wouldn't say you're a prototypical, power hitter, right? And that's not putting you down as a hitter. It's just when you look at it from a college recruiting standpoint, okay? My power hitters are going to be corner infielders. It's going to be possibly the left fielder, possibly the right fielder, okay? Everybody else, especially if you're at the college level, is probably a contact guy, okay? Because if out of high school, I'm a prototypical power hitter, okay, right, and I'm a legitimate power hitter, do I go to college?
Okay, no, you're right. I see what you're saying.
Probably not. Now, you can develop into that over time, okay? You can develop that into that over time. But if you're that prototypical power guy out of high school, right, where you have that's one of your tools, right, and you're above average there's a good chance that you're not playing college baseball to begin with. You're playing professional baseball out of high school, okay? And I'm not saying, again, you can't develop into that. That just takes time. And a lot of time, it's not going to be when you're 15 or 16 or even 17. You guys don't stop growing until you're 21 years old, from what I understand, right? I think that's science. Not exactly sure.
Yeah.
We have the curse of the tomateros out here with all the Hispanics, no offense, because I'm half Hispanic too, that we think we're going to be power hitters our entire life because at 13, 14 years old, we're dropping tanks, at the BLDs or at these youth parks, right? And then all of a sudden at 13, 14, we're the same height at 13, 14, or we're the same height at 16, 17 as we are at 13, 14. So we don't grow in height as much. And then in turn, we don't exactly translate into continuing to be a power hitter throughout our high school career the way we once were comfortable being, right? So now we have to maybe change our approach a little bit. Are we a power hitter right now? Chances are you're probably not, right? Are you a contact guy? Anybody can be a contact guy if you change your approach. And that doesn't mean you can't hit doubles. And that doesn't mean you can't hit triples, okay? That means you can hit the ball into the gap. And when I say contact guy, I'm not saying like slap hitter where you punch the ball over the, barely over the infielder's head. I mean contact in the sense where you can still drive the ball with authority. You're just not going to be a 20 home run guy in the big leagues, right? So you got to use the approach that's going to be successful for you based on the type of hitter you are. But first and foremost, you have to be honest with yourself as to the type of hitter that you are. Okay. So if you're wrong in answering that question, whatever approach you add to the equation isn't going to work. Okay. And on the flip side, if you are that professional type power hitter, right, and you have the approach of wanting to hit a ground ball to the shortstop and beat it out, you're not living up to whatever your potential could be. Okay. So that's, it works both ways. All right. So going to the next question. Let me see. Allowed to talk. Is available. Okay. Going on to the next question. Sorry. Swing mechanics. Do you feel your swing is fundamentally sound? Does your body movements work in a correct sequence consistently when batting? Okay. When we talk about swing mechanics, everybody has an idea on what's going on, right? You have hitting coaches, you have professional guys, you guys all listen to Harold Reynolds on MLB Network. Everybody has their own philosophy and their own ideas when it comes to swing mechanics. The only thing I can really give you right now, without getting in a one-on-one setting, because everybody's different, right? Or a small group setting even, is if you don't feel, if I'm hitting, I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to move this box out of the way. Hold on 1 second, guys. If I'm hitting, right, and this is my bat right now, but it's really more of like a PVC pipe, okay? If I'm hitting, right, can you hear me okay over there? Caesar, can you hear me okay? If I'm hitting, all right, and at contact, can you guys all see me okay?
Yeah.
If I'm at contact, right, and I don't have, this is my top hand here, this is my bottom hand, I'm a right-handed hitter, right? If I don't have my top hand engaged at contact, I'm losing any authority to put the ball, or I'm losing any ability to put the ball in play with authority. Okay? I'm losing whatever power I have. Okay? You have to use the ground, right, to provide you with power. And it's called, maybe some of you guys are familiar with this, it's the kinetic change. It's how you use the energy from the ground and let it transfer through your legs, into your torso, or into your hips, through your torso, and then goes into your arms. And it works somewhat like a whip, to where you're able to make contact, but you got to feel the engagement here in your top hand. This is my top hand, right? My backhand. And if you think about it, as soon as you let go with your top hand, right? I let go, you lose engagement with your lower half, okay? I was just talking to one of my friends who's a pitching coordinator with the Phillies about this, and he thinks he's a hitting guy too. So we go back and forth, but we both played for Tony Gwynn, who was a good hitting coach, but he was a big bottom hand guy, right? And the bottom hand, what Tony would say is the bottom hand's going to guide you to the ball and guide your knob to the ball, and the barrel's going to follow. Makes a lot of sense. However, right, when I became, and when you think about it, when you become more of a bottom hand hitter, okay, when you're more of a bottom hand hitter, yeah, you'll be short to the ball, but you're going to lose any chance to put the ball in play with any type of power, right? And that doesn't mean you're going to be a power hitter, but again, you know, you can still hit the ball in the gap, and you can still drive the ball and hit it hard, right? Okay, so that's what I have for you, right? If you want a drill to do at home, make sure you put the tee, or you have in soft toss, well, we'll start with the tee. Make sure you put the tee, okay, where you know you're gonna be successful at staying engaged with the top hand at contact. And where you hit the ball off the tee, right, where you're engaged with the top hand at contact, that's where you should let the ball travel to, if that makes sense. So the same thing in front toss or soft toss, or when you get to live pitching, when you get to live pitching, you have to let the ball travel to a point where you can engage with the top hand and keep the top hand attached, because as soon as you get detached with the top hand, all the power from your lower half goes out the window, okay? And you can watch videos of professional hitters. You can watch videos of college guys that hit the ball, you know, with you know, for power, or any good hitter. You know, you can watch them. When the top hand is engaged, there is some exit velo that comes into play off the bat, right? Okay, so that's what I got for you drill wise, something to work on. If you're using, and I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, Dominic, I know you use this. I know you use the sensor. Kelson, yours is in the mail. Some of your guys' stuff is in the mail. If you put that drill to work, okay, in your workload, okay, your numbers without even trying, whether it's exit velo or swing plane or connection, whatever it may be, right, it's going to improve naturally without even trying. Okay, just make sure you keep the top hand engaged. All right. Some of you guys, right? Ability to make adjustments pitch to pitch, right? This is the next question. Are you able to adapt between pitches in a single at bat, whether it be a tweak physically or a change in your mindset, right? So the best hitters in the world, and I don't mean like in your age, I mean in professional baseball, right? If you're able to adapt between pitches in a single at bat, right? So pitch to pitch, okay? I missed a breaking ball up in the zone. I'm not going to let that happen again, right? If you're sitting fastball, you should, if you're a good hitter, right, be able to react to a hanging breaking ball. Okay? Hanging breaking ball means up in the zone. If you're sitting fastball, okay, should you be able to react to a good slider down in the zone? I'm going to go with no. Okay? I'm going to go with no, because a good pitch, a well-executed pitch, is always going to beat a good hitter. Okay? But you got to take into account that most pitchers don't execute their pitches very well. Okay? So for me as a hitter, right, I knew that if a left-handed pitcher, okay, think about it, I'm a right-handed hitter, left-handed pitcher, if a left-handed pitcher could bounce a breaking ball right in front of my back foot, okay, if he could bounce it there, I would probably swing through it 3 times and strike out. Okay? The thing is, though, if he didn't bounce it in front of my back foot and it didn't bounce, then I'm probably hitting it hard into the gap. Make sense? If he bounced it too far ahead of my front foot, if he bounced it 2 feet in front of that spot, right, then I'm not swinging at it. So pitchers constantly have to thread the needle against good hitters, and that's not easy to do. All right. So you got to take that into account as well. You got to be okay with your approach isn't going to be 100% foolproof. If a pitcher finds that little hole, or, and he can thread the needle and make that pitch to you over and over again, right, chances are you're going to make an out. Okay. Now, if you could find a way to put the ball in play with 2 strikes on that pitch, even better. If you could foul it off, even better, because now you're just making him have to execute that pitch again, and that's not easy to do. Okay. All right. That's the pitch to pitch. Now, most of you guys, hopefully, we're at least at that point now where we can execute, or where we can make adjustments at bat to at bat, right? So if I know what he did to me last at bat, I'm not going to let him do that to me again. If he gets me out with a specific pitch the last at bat, that's not happening again. He's going to have to beat me with something else. Okay. And that's where most of us are at. I would say that it takes a lot of discipline, and it takes a lot of watching the pitcher and watching the game to transform from an at bat to an at bat adjustment maker to a pitch to pitch adjustment maker. Okay. I got you, Sammy. I understand what you were saying right there. Okay. Physical strength and athleticism. Where do you see yourself physically? How do you assess your physical strength and athleticism? Are you a peak performer physically? Is there significant room for growth, or are you somewhere in between? I would say I don't know all you guys, but I would just say the general consensus is a lot of you guys are probably somewhere in the middle, average physically. There's definite room for growth. Just being a part of the sports performance community for a while, I see good athletes come into our facility, or they think they're good athletes, and they're not quite there. They get in here, they work out for a little bit, and all of a sudden they turn into they improved so much in a 3-month period. They didn't realize how good they could be physically and how strong and athletic they could be. Okay, there's a big difference between being strong and being able to put up a lot of weight, and being baseball strong and being able to move quick, to move well, to stay injury free, to hit the ball with some strength and be able to get around the bases. It's different. If you're I remember my scout who signed me with Atlanta back in 2007. My scout told me, and it stayed with me, you're not a bodybuilder, you're a baseball player, right? And I didn't understand what that meant at the time, but I do now because I deal with a lot more guys that kind of have that mindset of, I want to do these Olympic style lifts. I want to put as much weight on my back, and I want to squat as much weight as I can. Okay, there are some guys that can get away with that. I'm going to say the vast majority of you need to get quicker, need to get faster. Okay, if you're a position guy, you need to move better. Okay, if you could find a way to be explosive and athletic, that will translate into power with the bat and arm speed. Okay, we'll talk more about that in another webinar as well. But if you could find a way to do that, right, that's going to translate the way you want it to on the baseball field. Now, you won't get the beach muscles that you see, in like Muscle in Fitness magazine, or you're not going to get you're not going to look like the guy in the Hollister magazine. I don't know, but you're going to get baseball strong, and that's what's important for you in your development as a baseball player, right? Obviously. Okay. Next question. Ability to execute situational hitting. You guys should have all graded yourself on all this. If you want, right, send me an email, right? An email, not a DM, and I'll put my email here. Hold on, the bottom. I'll put my email here, and I will calculate a score for you based on your answers, your responses in that form, okay? And that score is gonna, some of you guys put excellence on everything. And if you put excellent on everything, that means you should be in the big leagues right now, okay? And you don't even need to be in this webinar because you're a much better hitter than I was, okay? You should not, if you're putting excellent on everything, right, on all these answers, you've definitely not answered the form completely honestly, is that right? Or you really think highly of yourself, but you might be wrong, okay? Which is okay. You can be confident, right? Your confidence level is obviously, in tip-top shape. All right. So ability to execute in situational hitting, right? Situational hitting is getting the guy over from second base. That doesn't necessarily mean bunt, even though that's a part of it. That means, hey, what can you do to get the guy, to move the runner from second to third, right? That means, hit a ground ball to the right side. A lot of times, if you're simple, if you keep it simple like that, the ball gets through, the guy scores anyways, you get an RBI. Okay, and then, and this is a big deal for me as a coach. If we have one out, and especially if we move the runner from second to third and the guy before you does his job, you have to 100% execute to get that guy in. Okay? Hold on 1 second. Jazz, okay. Okay to go heavy with weight training both now, off season. Yeah, absolutely. You can go heavy with weight training. You just got to make sure it doesn't hinder your mobility. Make sense? And your athleticism. So if you can make sure you're still able to move and take a hard secondary and get to second base on a ball in the dirt, and you can still build strength, you're doing exactly what you should do to train to be a next level type athlete, a next level, baseball player. Okay. But back to the situational hitting. Run on third base, less than 2 outs, you're putting the ball in play. Okay. If you hit a line drive at somebody and they catch it, okay, there's nothing we can do about it, but you're putting the ball in play. If the infield's back, you're hitting the ground ball up the middle. If the infield's in, you're getting the ball to the outfield. You're finding something up in the zone, right? Up in the hot zone, right? To get to the outfield. Okay. You have to be selective there to make sure you can execute. Okay. If you're not disciplined enough to wait for the pitch that you're able to execute with, then you're doing yourself a disservice and you're not becoming a complete hitter. Okay. Obviously you're helping us lose too, by the way. We don't get that running. Your overall confidence as a hitter, do you feel in control of your at-bats, or do you lack comfortability in the batter's box? Are there times when you feel one way, then experience other times when you feel the other? Okay, that's all timing, right? We talked about a little bit earlier. Dominic was talking about his pre-at-bat rituals. If he doesn't feel comfortable, he steps out of the box, he gets himself back in. A lot of times, if you need to see that first pitch just to get that confidence, that's okay too. But again, it goes back to the two-strike approach. How fine-tuned is your two-strike approach? Okay, big deal. All right. Ability to apply coaching. And this is probably one of the most overlooked tools by kids, by young players. If you cannot apply coaching, right? And that doesn't mean you have a bad attitude, right? Okay. If you can't make an adjustment based on what your coach is telling you to do, and hitting, I'll be honest with you, hitting's probably the hardest thing, adjustment, the hardest aspect of the game to make an adjustment in. But if you're not willing to absorb the information and put it to work, at least in the drill work you do, then it's going to be really hard for you to make the adjustment in games, right? So if you're not able to absorb the information and put it to work right away, and it takes more time for you to apply, sometimes, guys, it takes you days. It may take you weeks, right? If it takes you that long, then you're definitely not a pitch-to-pitch adjustment maker. And you're not even a game-to-game adjustment maker, right? Or an at-bat-to-at-bat adjustment maker. You are a week-to-week or month-to-month adjustment maker. That is exactly why you need to take more swings on your own. If you learn how to take more swings on your own, right, and have purpose-driven work, right, which is what we talked about earlier, you learn your body more, okay? You learn to quiet things down so you can make those adjustments. You start to understand your swing more. And this is without having a hitting coach in your ear every swing, every bucket of balls, right? This is you taking the initiative on your own to get better, okay? So ability to apply coaching often comes from you either getting enough work or not getting enough work on your own, okay? Ability to effectively communicate with coaches, okay? And this is what this is the best coaches I've ever had, okay? And I've had a lot of them. I played college ball. I played pro ball for 6 years. The best coaches I've ever had have allowed me and have allowed players to give them feedback. Make sense? So if I have a hitting coach, right, or if I had a hitting coach, we can talk back and forth, about the adjustments I need to make. I could let them know, like, hey, this feels good, or hey, this isn't working. Is there anything else? That's what I kind of expect. If we're going to be on these webinars together, that's what I kind of expect from you guys as well. So like Brody, you talked about your hitting guy. Make sure you're able to give that feedback with him. You know, Kels, I know you have no problem speaking your mind with me. And, you know, that's the way it should be. There should be consistent dialogue and consistent, because that's how we're able to effectively transform your swing, your approach. So it works for you. All right. Makes sense. And that's in any aspect of the game. If I'm an infield guy too, or I'm a base running guy, if guys are asking me questions, that means they want to get better. Right. That means they're trying to find that avenue, and they're trying to find that edge so that they can improve the little things about their game. Right. And the little things often, you know, the overlooked aspects of the game, those things are most important. Okay. Because they'll add up to the big things later. All right. So make sure you're able to ask questions. You're able to, you know, we'll go to a Q&A. I see guys are doing this on here. I really appreciate that. Keep them coming. If you have a question, there are stupid questions out there. Don't let anybody tell you there's no such thing as a stupid question. But for the sake of us all improving on this, you know, don't be afraid to, you know, to bring it up with me here, right? We're going to wrap this up soon, by the way. So if you have anything, please, we have maybe 10, 15 minutes left of this. So make sure you bring me the questions if you'd like. Okay. What do you feel are your greatest strengths as a hitter, and why? You know, take your time on that form. You should have put a thoughtful response out for that one. Give some detail. This could be in regards to your swing, your ability to hit the ball to all fields, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For me as a hitter, it goes back to my two-strike approach. My two-strike approach, oftentimes I was much more confident to hit with 2 strikes than I was able to hit with less than 2 strikes. And I think that was at times because, you know, earlier in the counts, you tend to want to get big, right? And you want to tend to, you know, hit the ball off the wall. Okay. So you lose your discipline a little bit. And that's this is when I was a little bit younger, right? But when I got to 2 strikes, I trusted my mechanics. I trusted staying short to the ball, right? I trusted letting the ball travel. There's a difference between, for me, there's a difference between letting the ball travel to the point where you're strong and letting it get deep. So when I say let the ball travel, that doesn't mean let it get behind you. That means let it get to a point where you're strong. Okay. Let it get deep means to me, you know, let it get too deep, and, you know, then we lose the ability to hit for power in fair territory. All right. So that was my thing. You know, I was a good 2-strike hitter. And then once I fine-tuned my 2-strike approach, I got to a point where I was confident in any count, and I could see 5, 6 pitches in that bat and still put the ball and play hard, right? And that's where we all kind of want to be. We want to be able to see pitches and not feel like we dug ourselves in a hole, right? Obviously, if you're prepared for that first pitch, right? And we talked about preparation earlier. If you're prepared for that first pitch and you get a cookie, you got to let it loose, right? You just make sure you get ready for that first one. Okay. Where do you feel that you can make the most improvements, and why? It says why, but why, right? So again, be honest with yourself. Let's, you know, I really do think that a lot of you guys should redo this form. Okay. Because I don't think we're completely honest with ourselves, right? And this isn't a knock on who you are as a hitter, right? It provides you a baseline to work off of so you can improve, right? So you can get better quicker, right? You are capable of making big jumps in a short amount of time, okay? I went from being the worst player on everybody's team in 7th and 8th grade, right, to making errors, to striking out. I went from being that player by 14 to being a USA candidate by the time I was 16, and a USA candidate by the time I was 18. And that was just because I put in concentrated work, and I put in concentrated effort into my improvement. Right. And I'll tell you, man, a lot of that was because of just getting athletic. And a lot of that was just because I trusted. You guys hear that, trust the process, but it's not enough just to trust it. You actually have to have fun with it. Because if you don't have fun with the process, you're not going to be motivated to get your work in on your own. I promise you. Okay. And that's what's going to separate you from everybody else out there. Okay. Anybody have any questions right now? Feel free to unmute yourself and talk, Kelson. Let it rip. I know you have 1,000. Anybody else, you could type them out, and I'll just ask them. Because I'm sure that some of you guys have those questions, but you're afraid to ask them, or, you know, you have them where you think that maybe they're stupid, and they're probably not stupid. Okay. Or I could just go to In-N-Out and have a burger and not worry about you guys anymore. Let's access the questionnaire. Okay, Jazz, I'm gonna send this to you here. Just copy and paste it from the chat room. Put it in your browser. There it is. If you need it. Anybody else? Kelson, I know you're itching to say something.
I'm trying to think about a question. I'm trying to accumulate a question for you.
Q&A section. This is my first time. When and where can I get my blast sensor? Jordan, I believe yours was mailed out. If it wasn't mailed out Saturday, it was mailed out Monday. So today's Thursday. It should be getting to you. So that was on the shipping address that you provided when you purchased it. That's where it's sent to. Okay, I believe it was sent out at least by Monday. Okay.
So on the question here, Joe, when you do that, put it more as like excellent would be MLB and those terms, right?
Amongst your peer group, I know I made a comment about, hey, if you're excellent at everything, then you're probably a big leaguer. Okay, there's some truth to that, but it's really amongst where you are and where you fit in amongst your peer group. Are you highly advanced for your age? Are you highly advanced for your competition level, right? Or are you not very good at all for your age or your competition level? It happens. So that's, just be honest from that standpoint, because I know you've played with good players, right? So you kind of see, okay, this guy's better than me. I'm better than him at these things. And it's okay for you to say that, it's just a matter of, where you fit in. All right. Brody,
I gotcha.
Brody asked the question. Brody's from Orange County. Is it better to do weighted workouts or just body weight workouts such as push-ups? I think if you have access to weights, it'll help you a lot. I think body weight stuff is great. I think a lot of it has to do with technique and how you use weights. How you use weight for the machines. Again, if it hinders your mobility and your flexibility to a point where it makes it hard to move around the field, right? It makes it hard to take a hard secondary. It takes away from your first step. If you're doing any workouts that do that, right, then you're not progressing. You're going backwards, right? So the weighted workouts are good as long as it's done in a fashion where it continues to get you baseball strong and keep your athleticism high. Okay.
Would you agree with like yoga? If you are getting stronger, and
I think yoga is a great supplement, great supplemental workout for guys that have, and it's not just about getting strong, but are you still catching, Kelson?
I am. No, and I do yoga every morning. So
I think yoga is great for guys that if you really need that push to be more mobile. So you have two different types of mobility, right? You have the active mobility and you just have like the flexibility mobility where you can stretch, put your leg behind your head. That's not going to happen in a game, right? But your active mobility, when you're running around the field, right? You're not going to the point where where you're touching your toes with your knees locked out, right? You're being active and your body's moving in a fashion where it's comfortable and you're still in control. But you got to be able to have that flexibility to be able to, as a catcher especially, get in front of the baseball, right?
Yeah.
Right? So there's so many. Yoga is great. I think yoga is wonderful. I think that if you could find a way to incorporate that mobility, that type of mobility into your workouts. So like for instance, in baseball, I'm a big believer if instead of doing squats, do split squats, because in baseball, you're rarely ever going to be in the squat position, right? So you're getting strong in a position that you're not normally going to be in. But if you do a split squat, right, almost like you're doing like a scissor, and then you have 1 foot behind you, 1 foot in front of you, you'll be in that position quite a bit, especially when you're running. So that will actually help your mobility as opposed to just a traditional back squat, right? Well, where it can hinder your mobility, or it doesn't give you the extra benefit of making you stronger in that baseball position. All right, makes sense.
Yep.
So, but yoga is great. I think anything like that's great, especially for the core, and your core obviously, controls everything. So, anybody else? I'll tell you guys, if you guys aren't, I'm good with you guys being on this webinar today. I hope you guys keep coming back. We'll do this at least, maybe once a week, sometimes once every other week. I'll even do some every now and then for, just to get some extra work in, extra knowledge out there. But I really like for you guys to subscribe to Swing Center. It's not very expensive. You get a free blast sensor. We mail it out to you to the shipping address that you provide. It's, there is a cost to it. So it's either $55 a month, or $55 a month gets you all the training and gets you access to the webinars, gets you access to the metrics and stuff like that Blast Motion will provide. The $85 a month will provide you with a monthly swing report and analysis, where we can even get on the phone and talk about, where you are as a hitter and how we can improve based on that swing report and that analysis. Okay. If you have any questions on that, feel free. Let's see, back to split squat with the bar. So Jazz, where are you from? Go ahead and type that in. Split squat with a barbell, dumbbell, or both. You can do both. I would say if you can get away from barbell over the back, even better. San Gabriel. Okay, so LA area. Okay, so I would say, Jazz, stay away from, if you can, stay away from anything over the back like this if you can, especially if you're young. Dumbbells are perfectly fine. If you can work up to a front squat position with the barbell, that's even better. Okay, that just helps. That'll help you a lot. That'll actually increase your flexibility, your range of motion there as well, on your shoulders and your elbows and all that stuff. Okay. Anything else? Which one of you guys are on TikTok? Any of you guys?
Well, I'm on TikTok, Coach.
I like TikTok. It's funny, man. I'm gonna put some workouts on there. Anybody else?
How do we upgrade to the one where we can get like the swing report?
Is that Dominic?
Yeah.
Just send me an email and then I'll send you the instructions on how to do that.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm happy to do this with you guys as often as we can. It's the first time I've ever used Zoom from this standpoint. It's interesting for me, but I hope you guys have taken something home from this. It's important to me that at least the guys that are in our program get better. Brody, I know you play for a different club team. I'm good with that too. I don't care if you get a walk-off homer against us this year. I want you to do well. I think they do a good job. Trust the direction that they're providing for you. Feel fortunate about being around guys like that, because there's a lot of kids out there that don't have that type of coaching. So I think you're in good hands over there. Let them know I say hello. All right. Should you stretch daily? Yes, if you can. If you have nothing else better to do, why not? Brody, yes. If you especially if you feel like you are immobile, if your hips are immobile, my glutes, my hips are immobile. I run on the stupid treadmill twice a week over here. Every 3 weeks, I feel like I pull my hamstring. I'm getting old and decrepit, but it happens. So I need to improve there. But yeah, I think that if you have mobility issues or flexibility issues, you need to keep it up. But I also think that if you have those issues too, a lot of times, let's say your hamstrings are tight or your glutes are tight. A lot of times it's not because they're inflexible, it's lacking strength. Okay, so you got to activate the glutes, you got to activate the hamstrings, do exercises that help strengthen those areas. Okay. Anything else, guys? Dylan Welcome is my favorite name on here. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for you then. We went a little bit over an hour. Just thank yourself for taking the time to be on here. I know that these things can get boring sometimes, but again, if you find purpose in the work or in these webinars, you're going to get better. Okay, I promise you that. All right. So just the mindset of being able to take the initiative to do these types of things, you're already putting yourself ahead of the pack. All right. I do have a podcast coming out. It's going to be called Locked In, the baseball podcast. It's not published yet, but it'll be on iTunes, and hopefully we can figure out the Spotify thing. But it's just informational stuff. We're going to have college guys in there. We had a college guy on today. Some pro guys as well, and maybe we'll get Mercado or Chris Malik on here as well, Brody. But there's a ton of information that we could provide for you, and want to continue to do that. And if I don't do this, then I'm going to get stir crazy at home, and you guys can get better, and I'm just going to be sitting on my thumb. So I might as well take the initiative to help you guys out. All right. If you have anything else, feel free to email me. We can talk about other topics as well in the future. We're going to. Thank you, Jazz, and we'll continue to get better. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you need to get started with Swing Swinter, let me know. Okay. All right, guys. You guys take care. God bless. Keep your masks on.